Let's get right into it. Number 10. Lifetime mufflers. Imagine running a business where your product is so good, it literally puts you out of business. That's exactly what happened with lifetime car mufflers back in the 1950s. These weren't your average mufflers that start rattling after a few years. They were built with heavy-duty stainless steel and superior welding. Some auto shops got the brilliant idea to offer lifetime guarantees on these mufflers. The pitch was simple: buy once, replace for free forever. Customers thought it was too good to be true, but it was true, and that was the problem. These mufflers just wouldn't die. While regular mufflers needed replacement every 2-3 years, these lifetime ones kept going and going. The auto shops were counting on people trading in their cars every few years, but turns out, people started keeping their cars longer because of these amazing mufflers. The shops were basically selling immortal mufflers for the price of regular ones. It's like selling someone an endless pizza for the price of a single slice. By the 1960s, most shops stopped offering lifetime mufflers. They had to choose between going bankrupt or selling worse products. Number 9. The Re-Programmable game cartridge. Back in 1995, a company called Re-Writable Games made a cartridge that could be reprogrammed with different games. You'd buy one cartridge for about $30. Then you'd take it to a store kiosk, pick any game you wanted, and download it right onto your cartridge. Each new game would cost about $5 to $10, way cheaper than buying a whole new cartridge. When you got bored of that game, you could just write a new one over it. Like Netflix, but for 90s video games. Nintendo and Sega looked at this and basically started to panic. They were making a fortune selling $60 game cartridges. A rewritable cartridge would destroy their entire business model. They threatened to pull their games from any store that installed these kiosks. And this was the 90s. Nintendo and Sega were basically gods back then. If they pulled their games from your store, you might as well close up shop. The stores caved. Without kiosks to program the cartridges, Rewritable Games went bankrupt within a year. Number 8. The Forever Flashlight. Back in 2002, a company called Applied Innovative Technologies came up with something that should have changed everything. They made a flashlight that never needed batteries. You'd just shake it for 30 seconds and get 5 minutes of light. Some models even worked just by holding them, using the heat from your hand to power the light. No more midnight runs to the store because your flashlight died during a power outage. No more finding your emergency flashlight has dead batteries when you actually need it. And definitely no more throwing batteries in the trash. Sounds amazing. The battery companies thought so too, but not in a good way. See, the disposable battery industry makes about $15 billion a year, and a good chunk of that comes from people buying batteries for flashlights. The Forever flashlight was selling for just $20. After a few months of strong sales, something weird happened. The company suddenly had supply chain issues. Then they had manufacturing problems. Then they vanished. The patent got bought up by a bigger company, and the Forever flashlight joined the graveyard of products that worked too well. The technology still exists. It's called the Faraday principle, and it's been around since the 1830s. You can even find some cheap knockoffs online, but they're made with such poor quality that they barely work. Just good enough to prove it's possible. Just bad enough to make you give up and buy batteries instead. Number 7. The Un-Burnable Toast. Back in 2001, a company called Sunbeam released something called the IntelliToast. This wasn't your average toaster that turns your bread into charcoal when you look away for 2 seconds. This thing was basically a genius when it came to making toast. It had optical sensors that would stare at your bread like a helicopter parent watching their kid at the playground. The sensors would monitor the exact color of your toast in real time. Golden brown, it delivers. Slightly darker, no problem. Burnt to a crisp, you couldn't burn your toast even if you tried. The toaster would just refuse, like a responsible bartender cutting off a drunk customer. This toaster was too good at its job. People bought it once, and that was it. It never broke down, never messed up, and never needed replacing. Sunbeam basically created their own worst enemy. Nobody ever needed to buy another toaster. The company's shareholders weren't exactly thrilled about selling a product that would last forever. They discontinued it. They went back to making regular toasters that turn your breakfast into carbon when you blink. A flawless product was a fatal flaw for their business model. Number 6. The Never-Warp Tupperware. Back in 1995, Tupperware created something amazing. Containers that just wouldn't die. They called it the Forever Collection, and it was exactly what it sounds like. These containers were made from a special polymer that was basically immortal. You could microwave last week's lasagna, throw it in the dishwasher, and the container would come out looking brand new. No stains, no warping, no weird tomato sauce ghosts haunting your plastic. You could even run over these things with your car, and they'd probably just bounce back like nothing happened. The containers were so good that people who bought them in '95 are still using them today. Tupperware's whole business model was built on replacement sales. It's like how printer companies make their money selling ink, not printers. The Forever collection was too perfect. People only needed to buy it once. Sales were amazing at first, but then they hit a wall. Everyone who wanted these containers already had them, and they weren't breaking or warping, so Tupperware killed their best product. They quietly discontinued the Forever collection in 1997 and went back to making containers that would eventually need replacing. Some people still have their Forever collection containers from the 90s. They're like the cockroaches of the kitchen world. They just won't die. Number 5. The Indestructible charging cable. You know how phone charging cables always break right where they bend, like they're designed to fail just when your battery hits 1%. Back in 2014, a company called Fuse Chicken said, "Enough is enough." They made a charging cable that was basically immortal. This thing was wrapped in industrial-grade steel armor, the same stuff they use in military equipment and construction sites. It could survive being run over by a car, getting chewed by a dog, or being used by a toddler, which is basically the same thing. The connectors were reinforced with some crazy engineering. You could bend them, twist them, use them as a jump rope. They wouldn't break. It was like Nokia 3310 decided to become a charging cable. The company was so confident, they offered a lifetime warranty. Not lifetime like other companies where it means until you need to use it, but actual, literal, this will outlive your grandchildren, lifetime warranty. And that turned out to be its fatal flaw. The cable industry makes billions from people buying new cables every few months. When this thing came out, bigger companies started pressuring retailers. Suddenly, stores couldn't stock it anymore. They could make them indestructible. They just don't want to. Number 4. The Unbreakable beer bottle. In 1963, Heineken's brewery in the Netherlands faced two problems: empty bottles piling up everywhere, and people living in housing shortages. Alfred Heineken hired an architect named John Habriken to design the WOBO, or World Bottle, beer bottles that could turn into building blocks. These bottles were rectangular instead of round, with flat sides and little bumps that let them stack perfectly like Legos. The glass was thick enough to withstand serious pressure. You could literally build walls with these things. Each bottle was designed to lay horizontally, with the neck of one bottle fitting into the base of another. Add some cement between them, and you've got a wall. They made about 100,000 of these bottles in two sizes. A small shed was built with them to prove it could work. The project got killed before it could really take off. The problem was, the bottles were practically indestructible. The beer industry makes a lot of money from people buying new bottles. Bottles that never need replacing are bad for business. Plus, some folks at Heineken worried that being associated with poor people's housing might hurt their premium brand image. So these genius bottles got shelved forever. Only a few thousand were ever used, and most of them are probably buried in some Dutch landfill. Today, a single WOBO bottle is worth hundreds of dollars to collectors. Number 3. The Lifetime Computer Fan. So imagine you've got a blender that never wears out. Like, you could blend rocks for 1,000 years and it would still work perfectly. That's basically what the maglev computer fan was. Back in 2006, a company called Sunon created something pretty wild. They made a computer fan that floated on magnets instead of using regular bearings. Think of it like those fancy magnetic trains in Japan, but tiny and keeping your computer cool. Now, normal computer fans are like your grandpa's knees. They eventually wear out and start making weird noises. The bearings get rough, the fan starts wobbling, and suddenly your computer sounds like it's trying to take off. But this magnetic fan literally never touched anything while spinning. No friction, no wear and tear, just smooth floating and spinning forever. It was like the vampire of computer parts, immortal and really cool. The fan worked too well. People who bought it never needed to buy another fan again. It was like selling someone an eternal light bulb. Great for the customer, terrible for business. The company had basically created their own worst enemy. Sales started dropping because nobody needed replacements. It's like if Kleenex invented a tissue that you could use forever. They'd go broke, so they quietly discontinued it. The perfect fan that never died got killed by its own perfection. Today, these fans are like collector's items. Some computer enthusiasts hunt for them like they're searching for buried treasure, and the ones that are still spinning will probably outlast the computers they're cooling. Number 2. DuPont's Indestructible Stockings. In 1937, a scientist at DuPont created the world's most indestructible pair of stockings. You could literally use them to tow a car. The stockings were made from nylon, DuPont's brand new miracle fiber. DuPont had accidentally made them too good. These stockings were basically immortal. You could wear them every day for years, and they wouldn't get a single run or tear. DuPont realized they had a problem. If women could buy one pair of stockings that lasted forever, they'd never need to buy another pair again. So DuPont went back to the lab and actually made their stockings weaker. They deliberately engineered them to fall apart after a certain amount of wear. It's the first documented case of planned obsolescence in the fashion industry. So next time your stockings get a run in them after 2 wears, just remember they could have been indestructible, but that wouldn't have been very profitable. Number 1. The Unbreakable Smartphone Screen. Back in 2009, a small company called GT Advanced Technologies created something that would make phone repair shops lose sleep. They made a sapphire glass screen that was practically indestructible. This wasn't your regular smartphone glass that cracks if you look at it wrong. You could take a hammer to this thing, and it wouldn't even scratch. You could drop it from your roof with no problem, run it over with your car, and the screen would be fine. Apple was so impressed, they invested $578 million to put this glass in their iPhones. But then something weird happened. The company mysteriously went bankrupt right before production started. The phone repair industry was worth about $4 billion at the time, and their main source of income was replacing cracked screens. The company's bankruptcy was suspicious too. They had plenty of orders, and that huge investment from Apple. Yet somehow they managed to lose all their money right when they were about to revolutionize the industry. These days, we're still dropping our phones and crying about cracked screens. Meanwhile, somewhere in a warehouse, there's probably boxes of unbreakable glass gathering dust. So next time you're paying $200 to fix your cracked screen, just remember we could have had phones that never break. But I guess some problems are too profitable to solve. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.